Hello and welcome to Guns and Gear. Now, I figured I was getting ready to pack up and stuff, and I wanted to make a video on a couple of knives that I brought with me, and actually I just didn't take time to do it, so I figured I would do it now. Now, camping knives, they serve their own purpose, and that is to camp. And when I think of a camping knife, things fall into different categories. Pocket knives can bring a lot of extra tools with them, like a good Swiss Army knife, and I have one to show you. But a belt knife, most of the time I like a smaller blade. For me, what I think is perfect is somewhere between 5.5, 6 inches. That's always the knives that I seem to gravitate towards, because I have them on my side, you know, all the time. And when you're kneeling and sitting and things of that nature, a bigger knife kind of jabs into you a little bit. Becomes a little cumbersome. But there's big camp knives that I love to use because, quite honestly, I know I talk about hatchets and axes and tomahawks and stuff like that being better for chopping wood, but it's kind of fun to mess with the big knife and do some of those things. And hey, when I'm camping, I'm doing what I want to do, right? I'm enjoying myself. So, thought I'd show you the knives that I brought on this trip. Now, I did not bring a large knife with me this time. But I did bring two knives that I wanted to kind of put through its paces, and I hope y'all will enjoy this. Here's the first blade right here, and this happens to be the Spyderco Bushcraft UK knife. Now, I got this when it first came out, and this, by the way, I only own two Spyderco knives. Not really a big fan of their folding knives. I'm sure they're great and their quality is superior and all this other stuff. But I just don't like that great big hole that humps up on the back end of it. That's a personal preference thing. What do you do? But I do love this knife. I've had this knife for a little while now. First camping trip I actually used this on was that 2-week trip I did up in the mountains in the fall. And this knife really, really shines. Now, it has a Scandi grind, and basically a Scandi grind, and I forgot what the degrees are of angle, but it is just one single grind that comes up to a point or to the end, and that creates a very aggressive edge, especially when you're working with wood and things of that nature. Now, the folks that like to do bushcraft projects and go camping using bushcraft tools, the Scandi knife is a integral part of that, and Spyderco really has made a nice one. Now, I just love these spalted maple grips that are on there. They are just gorgeous. Yeah, but not only that, the way that they designed their handle and their knife in general is excellent, just excellent. This knife really, really feels good in the hand. And you know, when you're using different grips for different chores that you may be doing in camp, this knife, the way they designed this handle, it's excellent. It is an excellent little tool. Now, it's made out of 01 steel, and I think the blade length is right at 4 inches. Okay, now I know they've reintroduced the knife because of the problems they were having with the handles, and I think now it's either G10 or micarta. I'm not sure which, but I'm sure that if you get a hold of one of these knives, you will really enjoy it. It's a great little knife. Now, I'll spend just a minute talking about the edge. The Scandi edge really is aggressive when you're digging into wood, when you're cutting into wood. But for general use, I don't think it stands up as well as some of the other edges. Okay, I happen to prefer a convex edge myself. Now, a convex edge doesn't bite into wood as easily if you're trying to make a fuzz stick or something of that nature. But for general cutting purposes, chopping, whatever, I like a convex edge. It's a little bit more durable. Alright, well, that's one of the knives I wanted to show you. Quickly, I'll show you the sheath also, which once again, Spyderco really did a good job with the sheath. This is a leather sheath. It has some kind of a treatment on top of it, almost like a paint. I'm not sure what it is, but this was well thought out. They got plenty of eyelets here for tying it down onto a pack or something of that nature, and it even has a plastic insert inside here that the blade fits into. once again, great job by Spyderco. Now, this knife right here, I haven't had it long, but I tell you what, it's becoming one of my favorite knives. This is a Scaggle designed knife, and that was a company that was around a long time ago. And this is their medium Bowie. Now, these Scaggle knives were made by Bark River, and I really like Bark River knives. They're a custom company that really puts out a lot of knives, and they have a lot of different types of knives, and this knife right here is just an excellent knife. It's a great looking knife, and secondly, I like the construction and the steel that they use and how everything has come together. Now, this right here represents what I think is an excellent camping knife. It's got I think it's a 5.5 inch blade. I'll put the dimensions down in the description box. And it's made out of A2 steel, which is a high carbon steel like the O1 steel. And Bark River often boasts on their heat treatment of their blades. Well, I don't know if they're the best or not, but I know that they're damn good. And I've had several Bark River knives, and they've always been good quality, good working knives. Now let's see, the handle is bone micarta colored. Micarta bone colored look to it, and it also has these good looking spacers in there. And this has a full tang, but it's called a stick tang, which is a little bit different. And that is that the tang starts to narrow down towards the end, and it is a full length tang, but it tapers off right here. That was the way that they made knives a long time ago. Now, as far as strength, well, I've been doing a little bit of batoning, as you can see. Now, I don't really baton big wood. I was batoning wood about like this, which is probably around 2 inches in diameter. And some smaller stuff, this is probably 1.5 inches or so. And I did the batoning with this knife right here, and it did just fine. And this is hardwood, and some of those pieces that I had a lot of knots and things of that nature in them. Now, this leather sheath that I got with the knife is, man, it's just a beautiful sheath, and it's again leather. Something that I prefer, by the way, in my my camping and my hunting knives. And the reason being is Kydex and polymer plastic type sheaths are absolutely superior for its protection of your knife in the elements. But they're also very loud when you're brushing up against branches and going through brush. And, I don't like that noise. So I usually gravitate towards leather sheaths, and this is a very, very nice example of a leather sheath. Now, I haven't put it on my belt except for today. Today was the only day I put it on the belt. And it also has a treatment on there to kind of protect it from the elements. But good knife and an excellent sheath. I tell you what, this is a great little combo. Next little knife I wanted to show you is a pocket knife. Now, this is the only one I've ever seen like this, but it's basically a folding bushcraft knife. Okay? Now, this little knife right here is made by Enzo, E-N-Z-O, and it has D2 steel, and I don't know, I think it's about 3.25, 3.5 inches in length. But if you notice the grind, it has that Scandi grind like a bushcraft knife has. Okay? And I tell you what, this is just a nifty little knife. Now, like I said earlier, I think a Scandi edge really does well when you're making fuzz sticks and sometimes with notches and things of that nature. And now you have an option. You can carry a knife with maybe a little bit better edge on it for general cutting and chopping chores, and carry your Scandi edge, you know, for making fuzz sticks and things of that nature. Now, it has a liner lock and some wood handles that are really nice. And it also has a nice little pocket clip. I just think this is a dandy little knife. Now, I got this knife from Ben's Backwoods, and it's bensbackwoods.com. And these are pricey little knives. This was over $100, I think, or maybe it's the their actual bushcraft knife might be. But anyway, it's a rather expensive knife, but it's a dandy. I really like it. Now, last but certainly not least, you always got to have a multi-tool with you. And when I go camping, I like to bring a nice little Swiss Army knife. Now this here Swiss Army knife happens to be the Farmer, okay? And it has the aluminum scales on there, which makes it just a little bit thinner. And at any rate, it's a great little knife to carry on a camping trip. You can find 101 reasons why they have a nice little small thin blade for food preparation or small woodland projects, things of that nature. And hey, Swiss Army makes an excellent knife with all the little tools that you usually see on a Swiss Army knife. Now, one word on this awl. This is an actual awl that you can use. It is sharpened. A lot of times you see awls on knives, and I don't really know why they're there. They don't really have a purpose, but this is an excellent design of an awl. And of course it has the bottle opener and the can opener, the little flathead screwdrivers on the end of it. And it also has a little saw. Now, a word on saws, you know, knives and saws, hatchets, axes, they're the same as guns. Some of them are purpose built, and you know, there's a price that you pay. If you have a really big saw, you have a lot of capability with that saw, and it's much easier to use when you're cutting wood 5 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches in diameter. You're not going to get that done with this. Okay. For example, this little piece of hardwood right here, and I sawed both ends of that with this saw right here, and it was quite a little chore. It doesn't happen easily. Now, it's a good design little saw, but it's not something that you're going to process wood for fires or things of that nature. But if you're going to do little small projects, maybe making tent pegs and stuff, like what I made for my tarp, then a little Swiss Army knife and a little saw is a good little tool to have. You know, it also is great for using smaller wood and making precise cuts and things for if you were going to set traps and stuff in a survival scenario. So it does have its purpose, but you just need to remember that you're not going to cut down any big old trees with this thing. Also, I got this little pouch for it, and it has a nice little sturdy clip on the back end of it, and it has a snap closure. And I tell you what, this is the first weekend that I've used it, and I really like the fact that I don't have to dig in my pockets to pick out my my Swiss Army knife when I want my Swiss Army knife. This sits on the belt. It's rather unobtrusive, and I haven't really noticed it being there except for when I need my knife. It's right there at the ready. So those were the knives that I brought with me on my camping trip. Thought I'd make a quick little vid and show y'all what I brought with me. Now, to be honest with you, I'm going to try to start making more knife videos. I probably have almost as many knives as I have guns. They seem to go hand in hand, and I'll show y'all one or two every now and then. All right. Well, as always, I really appreciate you folks for watching my video, and remember, shoot straight on the range and in life. Thank you.